It started as usual, but soon it exploded. Like a bombshell, just moments ago everything changed. A voice that had long been a thunderous critic of Caitlin Clark has unexpectedly shifted. Monica McNutt.
While Caitlin is fantastic and I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA, there are women that were worthy of coverage prior to her arriving, and I just will not be silenced when it comes to that.
One of the fiercest and most vocal adversaries of Clark has seemingly softened her stance, what many are calling a thinly veiled apology for, fanning the flames of one of the most racially charged narratives in women's basketball history. This isn't just some back-and-forth debate, this is ESPN-level drama. And the underlying story, it was never about basketball itself. It was about what Caitlin Clark came to represent.
We saw what happened last year. Caitlin Clark was targeted.
That's been a part of the game. The game has always been physical.
I know what physical basketball looks like.
To some, she wasn't just a star athlete. She became a symbol, a lightning rod for political and cultural divides. In their eyes, Clark was the face of MAGA America, the poster child for a demographic they despised. To them, her supporters were fans who likely wore red hats and voted in a way that felt unforgivable. But the backlash proved to be a tidal wave that couldn't be ignored. The pressure mounted, the tone started to shift, and now, after weeks of subtle digs and pointed silences, the narrative has evolved. This is no longer just about the game, it's about culture, perception, and what happens when a rising star becomes entangled in a firestorm of division.
Caitlin Clark, what makes her great is not that she's a white girl from Middle America. She is objectively an incredible basketball player.
No doubt.
What it really is racism. That's the defense that's now being offered. But the footage from last season told a different story. Clark wasn't just being guarded, she was being targeted. The physicality wasn't just tough play, it was calculated. This wasn't just hard-nosed basketball. Things hit a boiling point when Natasha Cloud didn't just criticize Clark, she launched an all-out attack. The social media firestorm ignited. What had started as a basketball debate quickly morphed into a cultural war. New fans, stunned by the raw intensity on the court, began questioning if what they were witnessing was normal. But Caitlin Clark didn't just bring a strong jump shot and impressive stats to the WNBA. She brought something even bigger: national attention. A massive fan base, sellout crowds, media frenzy. Almost as soon as she entered the league, resistance to her success started to form. At the forefront of that resistance, Monica McNutt.
The one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her.
Why her?
Well, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
Her critique wasn't limited to Clark's game, it was about Clark herself. McNutt framed her rise as a disruption, a threat to the status quo. Her presence wasn't a triumph of talent, but an invasion of territory long held by others. What started as subtle comments and backhanded remarks soon escalated to full-blown criticism. The white girl came in and shut everyone up, she said. It felt like Monica, once a respected figure in the league, had become a gatekeeper, defending a culture she believed Clark had no right to infiltrate. McNutt didn't stop there. She made her views clear on panels, in interviews, and on TV shows. Clark wasn't just a rookie to her, she was an outsider. And when Clark took hits, when she was battered and bruised, McNutt claimed it wasn't targeting, it was just how we play.
What it is racism, right? It gets blown up into, oh, they're going after Caitlin Clark, but no, we're just playing one of the best players that's in this league.
Then Natasha Cloud came again, doubling down. She accused Clark's new fan base of being racist, claiming that their outrage wasn't driven by concern, but by ignorance. They didn't understand the WNBA culture, and perhaps most explosively, Cloud suggested that this was simply how black women played basketball. By the end of the season, Caitlin Clark had shattered records, earned a spot on the All-WNBA team, and yet the hostility didn't fade. It grew. Because deep down, it was never about her performance. It was about who had the right to define the face of the league. Clark wasn't just generating jersey sales. She was becoming a brand, a beacon of mainstream success for the WNBA. And for some, that visibility represented a threat, not to stats, but to an entrenched power structure. The old guard was uncomfortable with what Clark represented. The irony? Clark never asked for any of this. She didn't demand special treatment, never retaliated against her critics. She just played the game, letting her performance do the talking. Yet, the louder her game became, the more vicious the attacks grew, and Monica McNutt, she wasn't standing alone. Her voice mirrored those of other WNBA veterans, particularly Natasha Cloud, who openly accused Clark's supporters of harboring racism. Together, they made a clear demarcation between the old guard and the wave of fresh attention Clark was bringing. It felt almost orchestrated, like the league stood at a crossroads, continue marketing the stars they had, or seize the moment and embrace the new wave of attention that Clark and other rising stars were generating. Players like Angel Reese entered the league alongside Clark, and yes, there were hard fouls. But the outrage only surfaced when Clark became the target. Suddenly, the physicality that had long been accepted as part of the game was under a microscope. And a divide grew. One side accused racism, the other accused bullying. And in the midst of it all, Monica's voice, once filled with conviction, began to fade. Fans, millions of them, had seen enough. They weren't just Clark supporters, they were casual viewers, newcomers, even analysts outside the WNBA bubble. What they saw was simple, a rookie being punished for succeeding. Monica McNutt appeared on the pivot with Ryan Clark, a move that could have reignited the fire, but instead the damage had already been done. Fans fought back. The media began questioning the narrative. What had once been a leading voice was now being scrutinized. People didn't hear leadership anymore, they heard arrogance. They didn't see passion, they saw gatekeeping, and for the first time, Monica fell silent. Then came the shock. Monica's tone shifted, drastically. The fire? Extinguished. The bravado? Gone. She praised Clark's poise, acknowledged her accolades without snide remarks. It wasn't a direct apology, but it didn't need to be. It was a quiet surrender, a tacit acknowledgement that maybe, just maybe, things had gone too far. And in that moment, the conversation shifted. Was this redemption? For some, yes. For others, it was too little, too late. But the change in tone was undeniable. The walls were crumbling. This had never been just about Caitlin Clark. It was about control, power, identity. It was about who could define the face of the league, who got to tell the story. And now that control was slipping. Monica McNutt, once a mouthpiece for the league's established order, had become a symbol of what it could no longer be. Her insights had begun to feel more like bitterness veiled in analysis. Just because the league had played in a certain way for decades didn't mean it was righteous. The difference now, people were watching, and the new eyes? They weren't buying it. They weren't crying racism. They were demanding better basketball. The players need to step up. The referees need to rise to the occasion. When Caitlin Clark was blindsided by Kennedy Carter, hit with a cheap shot that had nothing to do with basketball, Monica McNutt didn't defend her. She didn't question the play. And just like that, a moment that could have united fans in protecting one of the game's brightest young stars spiraled into something far darker, a cultural flashpoint, a line drawn in the sand. The public wasn't having it. Social media ignited. Fans from every walk of life, black, white, young, old, longtime WNBA supporters and newcomers alike, all took to their keyboards calling Monica out. And it wasn't because of her strong opinions. It was because she used her platform to draw lines in the sand when the moment called for unity. But damn, can she shoot? She led the NCAA in assists last year. She lights it up, and you can tell she's one of those gym rats. Me? I need a bike now before I do anything, getting older and all, so I'm pedaling through my warm-up just watching her, drilling shot after shot. And if you're a hooper, you know, some shooters just hit different. And she was killing it. She's not just a great shooter, she's now the face of the league. In Monica's world, Clark was just a guest in their house. And if she couldn't take the hits, she didn't belong. But here's the plot twist. Clark took every single one of those hits, and never once fought back. Game after game, she was shoved, elbowed, taunted, fouled, and each time she got up. No trash talk, no drama, just focus, just execution. Fans who were new to the league, accused of being outsiders, didn't just watch, they showed up, in droves. Ticket sales soared, TV ratings exploded, her jersey sold out. The kind of growth the league had been waiting for finally arrived. It came from her. How do you knock the only player generating consistent buzz, revenue, and national attention? Monica McNutt found herself cornered because her narrative? It didn't hold up anymore. Millions of fans were seeing the truth with their own eyes. And slowly, her tone started to shift. She began giving Clark props, acknowledging her impact. She didn't say sorry, but she didn't have to. The shift was obvious. Because Caitlin Clark didn't just join the WNBA, she ignited a movement. Because like it or not, the market decides who the face of the league is. And the people, they've made their choice. They love watching her play. Does her game remind us of Steph Curry? Maybe. But there's something else, something intangible. She's growing the fan base in real time. Clark isn't a threat to the league. She's the reason it's finally thriving. And now the WNBA has a choice. Grow with her or get left behind. Because the silence? It says more than any half-hearted apology ever could. This isn't just about controversy. It's about a generational talent forcing the league to grow, ready or not.